Hi, this is Dizzy, or the Classy Aspie, and today I want to discuss Deangelo Martin, Detroit serial killer, age 34. Martin is now arrested, but this just happened, like over the summer. In June, he was arrested. His first known victim was 57-year-old Annetta Nelson. There are a few names that I will have a hard time pronouncing in this case. So what led to Deangelo Martin's arrest was that a 51-year-old woman was attacked both on the street and then in an abandoned house. Serial killers don't just passion murder over and over again. That's more of a spree kill type thing, or a one and done. You know, oh, you caught your spouse cheating, you kill them both, and it was a crime of passion. This is just some homeless Looney Tune who was killing prostitutes, and then she jumped out of the window and ran down the street. She did not actually go to the police until 3 days later for fear of repercussions, and the clothes she was wearing still had blood on them, which helped to lead the police to Martin in relation to several murders. He's been charged with assault and attempted murder and 4 counts of sexual assault, also for kidnapping and sexually assaulting the 51-year-old that I just mentioned. So, as far as it goes with dropping the ball, the police in Detroit sure did. I mean, the police in general, when it comes to serial killers, are terrible. When it comes to serial killers who target sex workers, aka vulnerable populations, I mean, Jack the Ripper, Green River Killer got away with it for like over 20 years. Lisk is still at large, Long Island serial killer. Hey, Burke. The first body was found on March 19th. This was Nancy Harrison, age 52, blunt force trauma to the head. May 24th, they found T. Ellis, 53. I can't pronounce her first name, sorry. June 5th, Tamara M. Jones, age 56. All the bodies related to this case have been found very similar, blunt force trauma to the head, in kneeling positions near used condoms, in abandoned houses. After Jones, the police started to comb through abandoned houses, 3,300 of them to be precise. And someone, a prosecutor or someone in the legal team on all of this, said sex workers in many cases are invisible. No, Craig, they're not. You found multiple bodies before sounding the serial killer alarm that were covered in DNA, had DNA in little baggies beside them. That's not invisible, sir. It's just not. At least 2 people escaped him, attacking one woman in the shower, and she also managed to get a stabby stab on the motherfucker. And the 51-year-old who escaped waited 3 days to go to the police because she feared the repercussions. So what I'm seeing here is that one of these people did not actually go to the police at first because they were afraid of being treated exactly how they're treating this case, which is kind of like there aren't any human victims involved. You can go, you don't have to take my word for these things. You can go look at comments from police, from prosecutors, from legal people, and you will see all throughout serial killer history, which actually isn't that long considering how new the term is, that a lot of people just do not consider vulnerable victims to be actual victims. And I have a problem with that. I have a big problem also with the mayor addressing this whole thing by boarding up the houses in Detroit rather than addressing the homeless problem, decriminalizing sex work so that this type of thing isn't happening rampantly and easily, and so that these women who get attacked by people who might repeatedly violently offend aren't afraid to go to the police and say, hey, let me get you a little sketch guy out so I can give you a little 101 on what this motherfucker looks like, instead of waiting 3 days to come to the police station with your bloody clothes. And the 51-year-old woman who escaped Martin by jumping out of the window happened to be jumping out of the window of the same house Jones' body would later be found, just a few days later. So that time lapse between woman getting attacked and escaping, and then finally deciding to go to police about it, someone else was killed. And I don't blame her for not wanting to go to the police. The fact that a prosecutor used the words a little justice, respect, dignity, no matter what they had been engaged in before, during, or after they were reported missing, tells you a lot about what you need to know of this case. If you watch some of the videos from inside of the courtroom, you will see that my annoyance with how this has been handled isn't just because they're sex workers. It's not just because of this or that. So whatever you're trying to pin my anger on, it's a whole fucking donkey, not just the ass of it. Oh, yeah. Excuse me, sir. I thought that no one reported the sex workers missing because that's what you said. And now you're saying that it doesn't matter what they were doing before, during, or after they were reported missing. Which is it? See, because what it says is that you had to comb through over 3,000 abandoned homes to find these bodies. Not that there was ever any missing persons reports. In fact, the lack of missing persons reports is what you cite when you defend your lousy, lazy, biased police work. I was watching the court videos, trying to get a little bit of a read on the guy, on Martin himself, because generally in serial killer cases, my interest is in the serial killer themselves and profiling. And I'm worried about how this case is going to be handled more than I'm actually interested in the serial killer, because he seems like a disorganized, boring, not even interesting as Son of Sam type. I don't really find disorganized serial killers to be as interesting because there's usually an underlying, very easy thing to put their behavior on. It just doesn't interest me. So I'm worried because there's a lot of incompetence in this case. There's a whole lot of incompetence going on. It's very obvious from the police case that the people working this case don't care about it, and that the people working this case don't really see that this man murdered actual people. They see he committed crimes and he technically did this and he technically did that, but he's being charged with assault with an intent to murder and 4 counts of sexual assault, as well as kidnapping and sexually assaulting the 51-year-old. He's not actually being charged with serial murder. And if you've ever been in court and you know how court is handled, you may notice that these people just don't give a flying rat's ass about the victims or about actually delivering justice. There's not a lot of anger that you usually see in cases about serial killers. There's not as much outrage. It's not seen as senseless murders and senseless deaths and innocent victims. Because, and I brought this up earlier about Green River Killer, Ted Bundy said, he didn't have the moves for classy victims. And Ted Bundy did have a point about preying on sex workers because it is a risky job. That would be like if I wanted to be a serial killer and my thing was going to be that I was going to stage deaths. So, and I wanted to only kill men. So maybe I would go after construction workers or something and stage their deaths because they're often in environments that are dangerous. The difference is that people respect construction workers and see them as human beings. So I would get caught a lot faster and, I'd probably fall and get killed trying to set the thing up anyway. These people don't care. This guy's gonna end up in prison for life or whatever. But as far as actually delivering justice with an iron fist like we tend to do with certain victim types, that's not going to happen. Anyway, this serial killer, quite frankly, is boring. The reactions to him from law enforcement have been predictable, although enraging. I'm working on my notes for the video about Oregon Energy and Willem Reich, so that'll be a little bit more of a fun, interesting video, but I want to be sure I get my talking points down properly because there's a lot to cover with him. So if anyone has thoughts, opinions, or epiphanies, leave them in the comments, and check out my merch store, which is also in the comments. And I hope everyone have had a great week.